We were just exploring Seattle when I walked into something I didn't expect. What I didn't realize at the time was I wasn't just meeting a guy with a shop. I was stepping into the world of a known Seattle artist who spent decades building things most people will never see. So I showed up, not really knowing what I was walking into. Here, let's keep going. Kim, can I give you this? It's a little tiny microphone.
Sure.
I want.
Ask away. I'm better at answering questions than I am at free association. And
How did this start?
Well, like it traditionally does, by being born. I have never been more at home than when I'm taking stuff apart.
Yeah.
So, and once you start taking stuff apart, you realize that everything that is made of stuff.
Yeah.
And if you have a pile of stuff to take apart, you can make other stuff. And so I'm a great fan of stuff. Material is everything in here is either raw materials, live projects, or tools. And which I get around by if something does go in a drawer, every drawer is labeled with a sample of the contents.
I love that.
And the reason for that is if you have an idea and you have to turn it into a word, and then you have to use the word and turn it back into a picture, well, your language center completely hijacks your CPU power. I'm a great proponent of your personal effective radius, which is what can you reach from one place without, you should be able to see it, grab it, put it back because it's either too big or too small, or it's not quite the right type, or whatever. You need to mostly juggle pictures and not words. And so the places where I end up, it's like, well, what is your personal effective radius, and how many dozens of things can be within arm's reach that prevents you from having to think about them? You're just reaching for them. I've sort of spent the last 30 years working mostly as a consultant in mechanical engineering and a lot of aviation-related stuff, and then increasingly the balance tilted from 90% that and 10% artistic endeavors to now almost 100% big sculptural projects.
Nice.
Very little of the nuts and bolts engineering type stuff. It informs everything, but it's not as much fun to pay your bills with that as to wrangle big silly things that you only have to do once.
Yes, you're 63. You've been around a long time.
I've been around a long time.
You've had diversity. You've had ups and downs. I'm on a mission of trying to show other people that you can be more resilient, think for yourself, and heal.
Yeah.
So I know we have completely different lives, but when life kicks you in the gut, what do you do?
Well, the same thing I always do. I build stuff. It's like that's like the road to sanity and and just psychological healing. It's like the sense that you've accomplished something. It's reality based. You can see it. You can trip over it. You can tip it over on somebody. There's an undeniable sort of visceral reality to that it's as non-virtual as you can get.
Yes.
And I like reality-based stuff, and stuff is way easier to understand than people.
I agree.
And so people are charming and atrocious and everything in between, but by and large, the average, I think, is probably a little better than people tend to think, because you stake it out with horrible experiences you have and wonderful experiences, but the average is I think it's maybe higher than a lot of people think. So
I would agree with you.
they're kind and decent and polite. And I can't remember who pointed this out, but it's been words to live by ever since. The smaller the project, the more money you lose. The bigger the project, the more money you make. And it's like, and mostly that's because there's a gazillion people working at the tiny end of the scale, and there's fewer and fewer people working at the big end of the scale. And so aspirationally, it was always, well, how big a thing can I manage? How what's the physical scale of it going to be? What's the weight of it going to be? What's the expanse of it going to be? And there's above a certain point, there's fewer and fewer people, attempting that. And physical reality is not linear; it's sort of exponential. But there's a lot of room to figure if if you're not sentencing yourself to being stuck in a whole box.
Absolutely. Was there ever a point in your life where you saw the fork in the road and you had to say, I'm going this way? It was scary, but you did?
In high school, I worked in a tire warehouse, and I didn't realize until years later that changing tires and driving the delivery truck and doing maintenance and stuff, my last 2 years of high school, I actually worked more than I went to high school. That's a different story. Every single thing I did had a purpose and a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so after a day, you're grimy, you're tired, but you get to deal with people who are, kind and funny and rude and exuberant, and it was so much more fun than high school. Just dealing with adults, working jobs, and I didn't realize until I'd been drawing blueprints and, out of college and working in a technical capacity, you would work for months on something that would ultimately go in somebody's drawer because they weren't quite ready for it yet. And it's like there was never any completion to these long developmental arcs. And I didn't realize how much that kind of bothered me until I was doing things where, I just finished it. It's working out in the world, doing its thing, and next. And so becoming sort of a problem solver for things that needed to happen right now was the massive improvement over the developmental trajectory of technical endeavors. Is doing the paperwork sucks. Solving the problems in physical reality is a huge amount of fun, and so that's always sort of been my bent. The sooner I was able to get away from paperwork, the happier I was. So,
are you happy now?
Yeah. It seemed vanishingly unlikely for the longest time that something like this would ever happen. So, no, I'm incredibly fortunate.
Kim, congratulations that it did. You worked hard to do this. So,
and of course, you will work hard regardless. And it's like the part that's great is like, hey, that worked out. And it's like, plenty of times when it seemed like it was very unlikely that it would. But no, it's fun to be alive.
It is.
Well, I'll go up as far as we can. I think I let the batteries go too long.
Okay, well we get the halfway view.
That's the mezzanine level. So there's a second staircase like this in the backyard that's going to go from the mezzanine up to the 20-foot level, which is up here. Now the 20-foot level, which is about 18 inches or 2 feet below the lower windowsill, there will ultimately be a catwalk all the way around the building, so you can look out all the windows. I have a movie screen that's 25 feet by 15 feet. I have 22 movie screens and black out the whole building, and then you can show movies. I can do Laserville in here. I do some fun laser projection, organic, wonderful natural stuff. As far as I know, I am still the only guy in the entire world doing hand-formed polymer artifacts.
But if you set out to build big things with little or no tooling, this is uncharted territory for the most part. The Chihui era was much smaller in scale. I was always interested in going bigger in scale, but it wasn't that really wasn't in his mindset too much, which is fine. I had a ball. He was great fun to work with, for. People would say that's no way to run a business, and it's like, you fool, this isn't a business, it's an empire. The king has spoken. Tear out what you did yesterday and do it like this.
There was something about the way that Kim works that stuck with me. He doesn't seem afraid to try or to fail or to figure things out as he goes. And I realized I haven't always lived like that. Even with this YouTube channel and these videos, I can get stuck overthinking even the smallest things, trying to make it perfect instead of just creating. But watching him building his own way with love and with art, it reminded me that maybe it doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe you just start and figure it out as you go. I'm trying to live more like that, one step at a time, learning as I go. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.